Today we are observing Adivas festival, that is preliminary function one day before, because tomorrow it is the appearance day of our Gurudev and also of Sri Ramchandra Bhagavan. So we were hearing Ramayana summarized for these 2 days. Today I want to read from Srila Gurudev's book, Dashavatar. Here there is some explanation. Lord Sri Ramchandra is the 7th avatar of the Dashavatar. Among the 25 Lila avatars, Lord Ramchandra is the 20th avatar. This has been mentioned in the description of Matsya avatar. The second Purusha avatar, Sri Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, in the form of Pradyumna, is the original source of Matsya, Kurma, Ram, Nrishinga and other Lila avatars. Srila Rupa Goswami in his book Lagu Bhagavatamrita defines Lord Ramchandra as the Paravasta or perfect form. Nrishinga Ram Krishneshu Sadgunyam Paripuritam Paravastas tu te tasya dipat utpanna dipavat. From Padma Puran. Lord Nrishinga, Ramchandra and Krishna possess 60 transcendental opulences in full. When lighting many lamps from one original lamp, all the lamps possess the same nature and similarity. Although Rama and Nrishinga are expansions of Swayam Bhagavan Shri Krishna, all three of them possesses 60 qualities in full. Like Narayan also, Krishna has 4 more, Vrindavan Krishna. In the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra, the dignity of moral codes is established. Therefore, Sri Ramachandra is known as Marjada Purushottam, the best form of the Supreme Lord in following codes of morality. Sri Ram's pastimes exhibit all rasas up to Vatsalya rasa, parental affection. However, due to moral codes having the highest priority in these pastimes, the mood of parental affection has a restricted nature. Maharaj Dasharat established these codes, so he was unable to prevent Sri Ramachandra from going to the forest. He had to keep his promise to wife. To exemplify these codes, Sri Ramachandra accepted exile in the forest to uphold the promise that his father had made. Dasharatha Maharaj passed away because he was unable to bear the grief of separation from his son Ramchandra. Sri Ramachandra vowed to accept only one wife, Ek Patni Vrata Dhara. Therefore, no one else can worship him as a husband. Kantaras, that is, conjugal mood, is not exhibited in these pastimes. When the sages of Dandakaranya desired to have Sri Ramachandra as their husband, he told them to achieve conjugal bliss by paying allegiance to the gopis in his pastimes as Krishna. Shri Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan, the prime supreme personality of Godhead, whereas Ram, Nrishinga and others are his partial manifestations, Angsha, or the parts of the partial manifestations, Kala. Paramatma also, that is Kala. Ramadi Murtishu Kala, Ramadi Murtishu Kala Niyamena Tishtan. Nanavataram bhuvaneshu kintu Krishna swayam samabhavat paramah pumanyo Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Brahma Sanhita. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, Krishna, who manifested himself in different forms such as Ram and others as his partial manifestations or parts of his partial manifestations. Ete Chanksha Kalah Punksha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Bekulam Lokam Mridayanti Yuge Yuge from Bhagavatam. Previously, in every epoch, whatever avatars are narrated as partial manifestations or parts of partial manifestations appeared to protect the world from the oppression of demons. But Shri Krishna, Brajendra Nandan, the son of Nanda Maharaj, is original Bhagavan, Prime Purusha, and is even prior to Adi Purusha avatar Mahavishnu. So if we want to be rescued from the oppression of demons, there is no other way except to take shelter of Krishna or his pure devotee. They are only able to protect us from outside oppression, from demons, and also inside oppression. The demons inside our heart, that is lust, anger, greed, these things, 6 enemies, they are demons inside. We cannot be rescued by our own effort. We have to surrender to Krishna and Gurudev and do what they instruct. Then it is possible to be rescued, otherwise not. In Sri Vishnu Dharmotara, like forest fire also, that is oppression of atheists or group clashing and all these things is there. So Gurudev told only Krishna can rescue us from that. In Sri Vishnu Dharmotara, Ram, Lakshman, Bharat and Shatrughna are mentioned as being avatars of Vasudev, Shankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha respectively. In Padma Puran, Sri Ramachandra is identified as Narayan, Sri Lakshman as Shesh, Sri Bharata as Lord Narayan's disc, chakra, and Sri Shatrughna as his conch shell, Shankha. Both chakra and shankha, they are conscious beings in transcendental realm. They are persons, conscious beings. That is why they can, when they are doing this Lila in this world, they are like persons, like flute in Krishna Lila. We see like a stick, but that flute came as Bhangshivananda Thakur and was speaking, moving, everything, because they are all conscious beings. Nothing is unconscious matter in transcendental realm. Everyone doing their service according to their rasa. Nikshatriyam akrita gam chatrich sapta kritvo ramastu heihaya kulapyaya bhargavagnih sobdim babanda dasha vaktaram ahan salankam sita patir jayati lokamala gna kirti. From Bhagavatam. In the form of Bhargava, that is Parashuram, the fiery destroyer of the Heihaya dynasty, rid the earth of the Kshatriya class 21 times. That same Lord appeared in the form of Ram, the husband of Sita, who is renowned as the purifier of the world and rescuer of the people of the world. He built a bridge across the ocean and destroyed the 10-headed Ravan along with his kingdom of Lanka. We heard how fight was going on. Ravan is this demon of karma and the lusty desires. Karma Kand, 10 those samskaras then heads. So if there are any these selfish desires, that last, that has to be killed by Ram, removed. One can see the significant influence of the holy character of Lord Ramachandra's pastimes in the life of the Hindu society of India. In the original Valmiki Ramayana, it is written as follows. The sage Valmiki appeared as the 10th son in the lineage of Pracheta Rishi. One day, while living with his disciple Bharadaja Muni, he went to bath by the bank of river Tamasa, which was near Ganga. At that place, upon witnessing the killing of a male Kroncha, that is English is curlew, bird, by a hunter, killer of birds, Byad, and the grief of the female Kroncha, the sage became sad of heart and spoke the following poetic verse to the Byad, means that hunter. Ma nishada pratishtam tvam agama shashvatih sama yat Kroncha mitunat ekam avadi kama mohitam. It is also written in, this is from Valmiki Ramayana. O Byad, you will never be able to achieve success and stability throughout your life, since you have killed one of a pair of Kroncha birds while it was totally absorbed in lustful affairs. Thereafter, the great sage bathed in that holy place and returned to his ashram. Being stricken with grief, he was still thinking about the verse he had just uttered after spontaneously composing it. Just then, the four-headed Lord Brahma himself appeared before him and spoke the following words to console the perturbed Valmiki. O great sage, it was I who caused you to compose such a verse. Fret no longer over this matter. Instead, you should describe the holy transcendental biography of Sri Ramachandra, which was spoken by Devarshi Narad. Valmiki composed the Ramayana only because of this order of Brahma. In Bengali encyclopedia, a particular incident has been described as traditional hearsay. The story in brief is as follows. He was born from a Valmika, that is ant hill, so his name became Valmiki. When Lord Sri Ramachandra visited Valmiki's ashram near Chitrakuta, Valmiki glorified the name of Ram and his birth pastimes before the Lord. Although Valmiki was born in the house of a Brahmana, he acquired an abominable, violent nature due to the association of Byad. He fathered many children from the womb of a Shudra woman. He practiced robbery as a means of maintaining them. One day, when he attacked some sages, they asked him to give up the practice of robbery. They said that he would have to suffer the consequences of whatever sins he was committing by robbing people. Upon returning home and asking his father, mother, wife, and other family members, he found out that they would not share the fruits of his sins. Because in further it will be written. So he then asked the sages for a remedy. The sages first advised him to chant the name of Ram. However, upon not being able to utter the name of Ram from his mouth, he was instructed to chant Mara, which means death instead. Following their instructions, he chanted Mara Mara for thousands of yugas. By chanting Mara Mara the reversal of Ram, the name of Rama was eventually pronounced from his mouth, and he achieved perfection in chanting the name of Lord Ram. Because he was sitting in one place while chanting for such a long time, his body had become the home of Valmikas, that is, ants or termites. Therefore, people gave him the name Valmiki. In the Bengali Ramayana, written by Sri Kritivas Oja, some differences from the above description can be seen. Sri Chyavan Muni was Valmiki's father. In his youth, Valmiki's name was Ratnakar, and he maintained his family by robbing. One day he attacked Brahma and Narad, who then asked Ratnakar who he thought would share in his sins. Ratnakar then returned home and asked his parents and wife if they would share the repercussions of his sinful activities. After asking everyone, he came to know that no one would share his sins. He became repentant, and when he inquired as to a remedy for these sins, Brahma advised him to chant the name of Ram. Due to excessive sins, his mouth was unable to pronounce the word Ram. Acting on Brahma's instructions, he chanted the reversed name of Maramara. By chanting Maramara, he was eventually able to chant the holy name Rama. Due to performing austerities for a long time, his body became covered with the homes of Valmikas, which was then cleansed with rain by Indra. As Valmikas had covered him, his name became Valmiki. He wrote the Ramayana on the instruction of Narada. The Ramayana is famous as the original epic of India. During the time of the Ramayana, Sanskrit was prevalent as the spoken language in Aryan society. The word Arya, or honorable, spiritually cultured, has been used quite often in Ramayana. Special respect for the Ramayana has been observed in places as far as Javadip, that is Java, Indonesia. Although a large book, the Ramayana of Javadip has no section divisions, but does have chapter divisions. The Valmiki Ramayana is of three kinds: Udicha, Dakshinate, and Gauriya. The Udicha indicates the northwestern Ramayana, and the Dakshinate indicates the southern Ramayana. There is no significant difference between the text and subject of the Udicha and Dakshinate Ramayanas. However, differences can be seen in the Gauriya Ramayana. There are 28 commentaries on the Ramayana. The Ramayana has been written in all the languages of India. Among the Ramayanas written in Indian languages, the Tamil Ramayana of Kambala, composed in 9th century of the Christian era, the Bengali Ramayana of Kritivas, composed in the 15th century, and the Hindi Ramayana of Tulsidas, composed in the 17th century, are the most famous. In the Western countries, the Ramayana was apparently first translated into the Italian language. The Valmiki Ramayana has been written in 7 kandas or sections: Adi Kanda, Ayodhya Kanda, Aranya Kanda, Kishkinda Kanda, Sundara Kanda, Lanka Kanda, and Uttara Kanda. The Ramayana is a voluminous scripture. From the description of Ramachandra's lineage in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is understood that Ramachandra appears in the solar dynasty, Surja Vangsha. Ikshvaku, the son of Vaivasvata Manu, is the origin of the solar dynasty, and his descendants proceed in the following order: Mandata from Ikshvaku, Trishanku's son Harishchandra, Harishchandra's son Rohit, and after that Maharaj Sagar, Asamanjas, Anshuman, Dilip and Bhagirath. In his lineage came Ashmaka, King Balika and other kings. When Parashuram was killing the Kshatriyas, King Balika was saved from his wrath due to being surrounded by women. Hence, one of his names became Nari Kavach, shielded by women. Being the mul or root of the Kshatriya lineage, he became famous by the name of Mulak. In the lineage of Balika, the great emperor King Katvanga took birth. From Katvanga, Dirgabahu, Raghu, Pritushrava, Aja, and finally Aja's son, Maharaj Dasharat, was born. Katvangat Dirgabahuscha Ragus Tasmat Pritushrava Ajas Tato Maharajas Tasmat Dasharato Bhavat. Bhagavatam. Due to the prayers of the demigods, the Supreme Lord Sri Hari agreed to become the son of King Dasharatha along with his expansions as Ram, Lakshman, Bharat and Shatrugna. According to the description of Valmiki Ramayana, Dasharatha, acting upon the advice of Sumantra, arranged for a Putreshti Yagya, that is to get a son, to be conducted by the powerful sage Rishi Shringa to obtain a son. Subsequently, he begot the Supreme Lord and his expansions as his sons in the previously mentioned 4 forms. His principal queen, Kaushalya, became pregnant after eating charu, an oblation of rice, milk and sugar boiled together, which remained after the yagya. At the auspicious time of Punarvasu Nakshatra in the 4th zodiacal sign of Cancer, in the month of Chaitra, on the 9th day of the waxing moon, Lord Shri Ramachandra appeared. That will be tomorrow. Bharat appeared from the womb of Kaikeyi during the Pushya Nakshatra Meena Lagna, and Lakshman and Shatrugna appeared from the womb of Sumitra during the Ashlesha Nakshatra Karkata Lagna. Ahalya was freed of the curse of becoming a stone by dint of her encounter with Sri Ramachandra. You will find this history in Gurudev's Puranik Charitavali. How this happened. Means why she became a stone. The great sage, here also it is. The great sage Gautama was the husband of Ahalya. Devaraj Indra deceived Ahalya by assuming the form of Gautama and corrupting her chastity. You see, even demigods, they are doing such things. Immoral activity. He changed the form into her husband because he wanted to be with her. Displeased with this, Gautam cursed Ahalya and Indra. Turned to stone by the curse of Gautam, Ahalya remained without food for many years, surviving only on air. Ahalya was finally freed from this curse by the touch of the lotus feet of Sri Ramachandra and was then reunited with her husband Gautam. In the pastimes of Sri Ramachandra, the following of ethical codes is of primary importance. His pastimes strongly evoke the sentiment of compassion. By the mercy of Sri Ramachandra, we can be saved from immorality and adharma, unrighteousness. The Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself prayed to Ramachandra in the following way to teach us. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava Rakshamam. Protect me or rescue me. From the pastimes of Ramachandra, we learn about the necessity of accepting and serving a spiritual master. He accepted Vashisht as his guru. Devotion to one's parents and the duties of a brother and a wife. Supreme Lord Sri Ramachandra has exhibited the pastime of abandoning the opulence of royal life, which is very difficult to give up, and of abandoning a perfect wife for keeping dharma and ethics intact. He accepted all kinds of suffering, accepted exile in the forest, and went without food and sleep. He walked with his soft lotus feet on the forest paths, which were full of thorns. Out of love for his devotees, the Lord bestowed his mercy on the Chandala, Guhaka. As the protector of one who surrenders to him, the Lord awarded shelter to Vibhishan, that is, we heard, younger brother of Rava. But he was devotee of Ramchandra. Because this immorality means that basic things, lying, stealing, violence, lusting after other married women, and cheating, deceiving, misleading, exploiting, all these things. This we have to be saved from such immorality in order to progress in devotion. But you will find in this world, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained 5 stages of human consciousness. The lowest is immoral atheists, then moral atheists, then moral theists, then sadhakas of pure devotion, and those who achieved, highest is those who have achieved bhava bhakti by sadhana bhakti. So immoral atheists are in this world, and you can see their activities, how they are cheating, exploiting, killing, everything. They're lying directly, stealing, everything they are doing. And in Kali Yuga, this is more prominent. But we can be rescued by taking shelter of Harinam. Sincerely, if we chant Harinam, then we can get protection from this, and also ultimate goal, pure devotion to Krishna. Sri Rama's pastimes demonstrate how a hand-packed person becomes miserable because Ramachandra was attached to Sita, so he was going to get that deer, golden deer. And ultimately he had to repent. That is to give us teaching. And how those who consider someone merely dressed as a sadhu, but lacking genuine qualification to be a real sadhu, become cheated and end up miserable. Sita thought that sannyasi is a real sadhu, so she was not hesitating to go out from that circle, and then she was caught by Ravan. He was in the dress of that sadhu. So cheating is going on. In all fields you will find in the world. By those who are on that level of consciousness, moral atheists. Immoral atheists. By annihilating demons such as Ravan and Kumbhakarna, he destroys the living being's inner demoniac tendencies. To instruct his subjects and for their pleasure, He underwent suffering by asking for Sita's trial by fire and her banishment to the forest. First, after Ravan was killed, she was 1 year in Lanka, so there she was tested by fire. Then later on, in Ayodhya, one man quarreled with his wife, and because wife was with someone else, then husband rejected her entrance to house. He said, I am not like Ramachandra, who will maintain Sita after she was there in Lanka. So because of this, Ramachandra had to banish Sita to forest. Austerities are prohibited for those with evil motives because they will misuse the powers, they will misuse. Who are in the mode of dark ignorance, because those austerities only create havoc in the world. To teach this, he killed the Shudra Shambhuka, while the latter was engaged in performing austerities. He taught all these lessons by setting the example himself. Here there are some footnotes, 1 second. Yes, by killing him, he rescued him. And before, yesterday we heard when Bibhishan came from Lanka to surrender to Ramachandra, others they were suspicious, but Ramachandra knew. So that time, Ramachandra pronounced this. Sakrit eva prapanno yas tavasmiti cha yachate abhayam sarvada tasmai dadamyetat vratam mama. Ramayana. When Vibhishan approached Sri Ramachandra, the Lord said, this is my vow. If anyone seriously surrenders to me and even once says, I am yours, and asks for my protection, I always give him protection. So this we have to seriously surrender. You have to mean it seriously, not pretending or acting. Then we are depriving ourselves, cheating ourselves. So that time Ramachandra said, even if Ravan comes and he surrenders to me, I will give him protection. In the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadev Goswami covers the main topics by describing the transcendental pastimes of Supreme Lord Sri Ramachandra in brief. These topics are described in Srimad Bhagavatam as follows. The pastimes of Lord Sri Ramachandra are wonderful, like those of a playful baby elephant. At Sita Swayamvara, the assembly where Mother Sita was to choose her husband, in the midst of all the heroes, he playfully lifted the immensely heavy bow of Lord Shiva, which was brought in by 300 men. He then bent and strung it and broke it in everyone's presence. After breaking the Haradhanu at this Swayamvara, the Lord gained King Janaka's daughter Sita, who had not been born from the womb. She appeared from the earth furrow that when cultivating that land she appeared. That is why her name is Sita. And who was equally as endowed as the Lord with transcendental qualities of form, beauty, age, behavior, and nature, just like Lakshmi. While returning, he crushed the pride of Parashuram, who had rid the earth of Kshatriya 21 times. Parashuram is Shaktiya Abhesh avatar. He is getting power from Supreme Lord to do certain actions. So here it was shown the difference. He challenged Ramchandra, but then Ramachandra defeated him, and it was shown that without being empowered, Parashuram cannot do that work. As described in the Ramayana, at the time of Rama's marriage to Sita in Mithila, King Dasharat came with his other sons, ministers and sages. There Lakshman married Urmila, the daughter of Shishadvaja Janak, the king of Mithila, and Bharata and Shatrughna married the two daughters of Kushadvaja, Mandavi and Shrutakirti. To reveal the condition of persons who are attached to women, Lord Sri Ramachandra, in order to fulfill the desire of his wife, ran after a golden deer. This deer was in fact Marich, demon who had assumed this form according to the instructions of Ravan. Taking advantage of the golden opportunity of Sri Ramachandra's absence, Ravan kidnapped Sita. To exhibit the sorrowful condition of a person who is attached to woman, Sri Ramachandra wandered in the forest in a pitiable state with his brother Lakshman, displaying distress due to separation from his beloved. In this context, as written in Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, the example of a devotee of Ram in South India is to be considered. How was it that Ravan, who was overcast with gloom and arrogance, could kidnap Sita Devi? The absolute counterpart, transcendental spiritual energy of the absolute transcendental Supreme Lord Sri Ramchandra. Upon seeing this description in the Ramayana, a Brahmana devotee of Ram became filled with grief and gave up eating. Sriman Mahaprabhu put this question to him. Considering that the ignorant Ravan had not even seen the absolute transcendental spiritual entity, Sita Devi, how could he have kidnapped her? Explaining, Sriman Mahaprabhu said that Ravan had only kidnapped the Maya Sita, or illusory material form of Sita, and that the real Sita had disappeared. The story of the kidnapping of Maya Sita is described in the Kurma Puran of Vedavyas Muni. Later, Mahaprabhu went further. He got a copy of this Kurma Puran and brought that evidence to that Brahmin. Then that Brahmin was satisfied and he started eating. No demon can have any, even you cannot see with lustful eyes, you cannot see transcendental spiritual form. What to speak of touching, taking away? No, that was Maya Sita. In the pastime of Ram, a wonderful quality can be seen in the character of Bharat. When obstructed in the service of the Supreme Lord Sri Ramachandra, he even rejected his own mother. Gurur na sasyat, svajano na sasyat, pita na sasyat, janani na sasyat, devam na tatsyan napatis cha sasyan, namoche tyah samupeta mrityum. From Bhagavatam. He who cannot rescue a conditioned soul from the worldly bondage of proximate death by advising the path of devotion to God is not entitled to be accepted as a real guru, real kinsman, real father. In brackets, such a man should not endeavor to beget a child. Real mother, such a woman should not endeavor to conceive. real demigod, such a demigod should not be eligible for worship, or a real husband, such a man should not marry. If his tendency is to obstruct the service of Krishna, then that is, you should not obey such husband. You have to serve Krishna, like those wives of Brahmins. They did this. They disobeyed their husbands and they served Krishna, and by serving Krishna they got eternal welfare and also husbands. So wives should do this in order to benefit all. So here Bharat rejected his mother because she was obstructing the service of Ramachandra. The Supreme Lord, that is Kaikeyi, but of course she also did that as a Lila. That is also stated. She was playing that role so that this pastime could happen. The Supreme Lord creates all living beings, but is satisfied only after creating man. Man has the ability to discriminate between good and bad, eternal and non-eternal, and can worship the Supreme Lord. Human birth is not meant only for eating, sleeping, defending, and mating like the beasts, birds, aquatics, and other animals. Still, we generally find that most people have little or no inclination to worship God. Evidently, we cannot have quality and quantity at the same time. If we wish to increase quantity, we must sacrifice quality, and vice versa. After killing Ravan and upon finishing the period of his forest exile, Sri Ramachandra returned to Ayodhya on the Pushpaka, that is flower airplane, Pushpaka Viman, flower airplane, with Sita Devi, Hanuman, Sugriv, and Lakshman. The citizens, Brahma, and the other demigods were in a state of jubilation. However, Sri Ramachandra lamented upon hearing that his brother Bharat was eating barley cooked in the urine of a cow, was covering his body with the bark of trees, was wearing matted locks of hair, and lying down on kusha grass. When Sri Ramachandra returned to Ayodhya, Bharat took, because he also followed austerities. Personally, he followed as if living in forest to follow Ramachandra. At the same time, he managed the kingdom, but on the behalf of Ramachandra. Yesterday we heard that he put sandals on the throne, sandals of Ramachandra, and on his behalf he was ruling, but personally he was following all austerities, not enjoying any kingly opulence like this. For 14 years, see what devotion. When Sri Ramachandra returned to Ayodhya, Bharat took Lord Ramachandra's wooden shoes upon his head and came out of Nandigram accompanied by ministers, priests, and citizens singing and playing music. He fell at the lotus feet of Sri Ramachandra with his eyes full of tears of love. Bharat exhibited such wonderful character. It is difficult for modern men to even contemplate such an ideal. In the present day situation, see, it here Gurudev is writing. It is not I am saying, but Gurudev is writing because he see it is in Shastra, it can be directly seen. Gurudev wrote, in the present day situation, the administrative class will not hesitate to perform any heinous work to protect their position, or for money, or for all these things. Where there is a great attachment to position, there cannot be good administration. We can learn from the ideal examples of character of Shri Ramachandra in Bharat what the proper character for administrators should be. Also, Gurudev mentioned that one time Ramchandra said to Lakshman to go out and ask if there is anyone hungry. So he went and no one was hungry. Then Ramachandra told him again, you go and tell, you call. Then Lakshman came and no one is hungry, but one dog is crying because one Brahmin is beating him. Then Ramchandra came there and asked dog, you are being beaten, so you cannot directly punish Brahmin. So Ramachandra asked, what you want him to get punishment, dog? Then dog said, he should become mat in charge or acharya of the mat. Then Ramachandra said, that is very good. You will have many disciples, so much Guru Dakshina, all these things. How this is a punishment? Then dog said, yes, I know. In my previous life, I was mat in charge. I was a charge of the mat. But I did something wrong here in that lecture, but in another I heard Gurudev said he misused the money of people who gave it for the service of God. So he was punished to become dog, and everyone was beating him, and he had to suffer because of that. Also, nowadays you will see so much misuse of people they are giving for the good, but they are stealing and misusing all this. All will be punished by Yamaraj, surely. No one can escape. So then dog said, so if he will become mat in charge, then he will also get the punishment. So Gurudev said it is risky to have position, and if you are then committing some mistakes, then you will have to be punished. It is not a joke, and no one can escape punishment. You can maybe escape these worldly courts, that may be possible, or people or something, but you cannot escape Yamaraj's judgment. So it is not a joke. Upon seeing their beloved King Sri Ramachandra after a long period of separation, his subjects showered him, that is from Ramayana. There is mentioned he was one temple president, that in order to show that you have to be careful in doing your duty and that no one will be spared. If he does something wrong, he will be punished. Upon seeing their beloved king Sri Ramachandra after a long period of separation, his subjects showered him with flower garlands and danced in great ecstasy. At that time, Bharata carried Ramachandra's wooden shoes, Sugriv and Vibhishan carried a chamara and an excellent fan, Hanuman carried a white umbrella, Shatrughna carried a bow and quiver, Sita Devi carried a water pot filled with water from holy places, Angada, son of Sugriva, carried a sword, and Jambavan carried a golden amulet. While Yes, while wandering in Ayodhya in disguise, Sri Ramachandra heard one of his subjects casting aspersions upon the character of Sita Devi that I mentioned before. He said, I'm not like Ramachandra, that I will maintain Sita. Upon hearing this, the Lord banished Sita Devi even though she was pregnant. What a wonderful ideal and spirit of sacrifice this was to teach his subjects. Iti lokat bahu mukhat dura radyat asamvidah patya bitena satyakta prapta pracheta sashramam. Men with a poor fund of knowledge and heinous character speak nonsensically. Fearing such rascals, Lord Ramachandra abandoned his pregnant wife Sita Devi. Thus, after being banished by Ram, Sita Devi went to Valmiki Muni's ashram because she expressed her desire that I want to see Tapovan. So one time Ramachandra said to Lakshman, you take her to Tapovan and then you leave her there and tell her why. So in that same Tapovan, and Lakshman had to carry that order. And in that Tapovan, Valmiki's ashram was there. Then she came to Valmiki's ashram, and Valmiki already knew this will happen. Why? Because he already, in his meditation, by repeating Ramnam, already he saw all Lila of Ramchandra in his heart. And from that, he wrote Ramayana, even before Ramachandra appeared in this world. So he knew Sita will come. And there she gave birth to two sons, Lava and Kush. And when Ramachandra came, then he came to know from Ramayana that they are his sons. Yes, then so tomorrow is the appearance day of Ramchandra. Tomorrow I will, and our Gurudev, tomorrow I will read these two verses from Bhagavatam, which are in relation to Ramachandra, and they can be applied also to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And day after, tomorrow, I will continue reading from here to finish this explanation of Ramayana. Yes. Day after tomorrow. Something tomorrow and then day after tomorrow.